Quitting smoking weed was the best decision I ever made in my life, hands down. And I'm gonna explain to you guys how I was able to quit, what I've noticed from quitting, and why you guys should quit too. So, for reference, I started at 15, and right now I'm 19. And at the time, I was in a very bad place mentally. I was insanely depressed. I lacked a father figure. I was dealing with the death of loved ones, and I just had a lot of shit going on. And I always told myself when I was younger I was not going to smoke, I was never going to drink, and I'm sure a lot of you guys can relate too. But, it got to the point I didn't really give a shit. Um, all my friends were smoking, said it was good, right? So I tried it. I remember the first time I got high, I told my mom I'm going to hang out with some friends. I went to the playground and we hit a cart, and I was literally high out of my mind. And I'm sure a lot of you guys can relate to that. Your first time you get faded as hell. I was almost overwhelmingly high. So what did I do? Everyone I was hanging out with was smoking, so I continued to smoke. And I thought something was wrong with me because I couldn't hang. I thought something was wrong with me because I couldn't smoke as much as the people who have been smoking for years. And I felt like in order to fit in, I needed to be able to smoke as much as these guys. Like, there's no way I couldn't hang. So my tolerance eventually went through the roof. At first, I had a blast. The first 6 to 8 months, I had a blast. I was getting high as hell, munchies, great memories with friends. But it all went downhill when I bought my first cart. When I bought my first cart, I just started chiefing at any chance I could. As soon as I got home from school, before school, I'd even bring it to school. There wasn't a second I wasn't high. So I started slowly cutting back. Instead of right off wake up, I'd wait 30 minutes until I walked to the bus stop. Instead of the bus stop, I'd wait till first period, etc., etc. And then eventually, it took me about a year, but I cut back to the point where I was smoking one time a day. It was one session at night. It was just something to relax. And arguably, this is where I was the most dependent on it. Because before, I was just getting high all day because I loved getting high. I loved how it made me feel, and I loved being able to avoid my thoughts. But I was the most dependent on it when I used it the less because I had a justifiable reason to use it. I told myself, I went to the gym today, I went to school, I deserve to get high. I have good grades, why not just kick back? And here's really the issue with that. When you do that on a day-to-day basis, even if you take breaks, even if it's not really controlling your life, you subconsciously get complacent with a lot of things. Just think about it like this. If you know you can get high, it doesn't matter what you go through during the day. If I go to a job I hate with my whole entire heart, but at the end of the day, I can get high as hell and have fun, who cares, right? If I'm in a toxic relationship, it doesn't matter because I always have the weed. So being high just makes you comfortable with being bored. So what actually changed when I stopped? At first, I had a decreased appetite. I really wanted to get high. My sleep quality was worse, and I was bored out of my mind. But what happened after a couple weeks? My sleep started to catch back up. My appetite caught back up. I'm like, wow, this is great. I'm actually able to get sober. And I call this a honeymoon phase. I was in this phase for about 1 to 2 months. And then right around the 2-month mark, this is where all these negative emotions I had been running from came back full force. The depression, the anger, the loneliness, all of it came back full force. And I was able to realize the underlying reason of why I was smoking every single day. It was not because I loved getting high. It was not because I liked smoking weed. It's because I liked not being in reality. You guys know that feeling. You're not smoking, you're completely sober. What's going on? You're in your head and you're in the reality. There's nothing escaping you from it. So for a while, I thought it wasn't worth it. I just sat there angry, alone, depressed, whatever, and my life was shit for a while. But my breakthrough happened once I actually did the work internally. I had to look within and I realized, okay, I'm feeling this way. What am I going to do about it? Sure, I could smoke right now and it would feel good, but it would only accelerate these feelings. I had no reason to lie to myself. Getting high feels good in the short run, but in the long run, it's going to make it harder to stay sober. So over time, I started to accept the way I was. I accepted me. I accepted the boredom. I accepted the anger. I accepted everything that I was running from. And that's exactly when it started to get better. That's when I actually started to ask myself, okay, what do I want to do with my life? I noticed the life I was living before I didn't give half a shit about. I didn't care about the major I was studying. I didn't care about the career I saw for myself. This is where I realized what I want to do for a living. This is when I made the full commitment to sobriety because I knew if I could quit smoking weed, if I could quit smoking nicotine, watching porn, all of these things, then there's nothing I can't do. And if I can inspire one person to do the same, then it's worth more than all the money in the world. So I started creating these kinds of videos. I started posting on TikTok consistently every single day, and I've had hundreds of DMs of people reaching out saying I've helped them. I've also made some borderline insane decisions. I've pretty much bet 100% on myself. If I don't make this work, if I don't make content creation work, if I don't make helping people quit smoking weed, nicotine work, then I'm going to be poor for the rest of my life. I'm not telling anybody to drop out of school. I'm not telling anybody to take the steps that I'm taking. But when you quit smoking weed, you're not drinking alcohol either. You get to see reality for what it is. Remember that dream you had as a child that you thought was unattainable? You want to be a doctor, you want to play professional sports, right? When you quit smoking weed, it's not even about the weed. When you give up that lifestyle that you never thought you'd be able to give up, your confidence skyrockets. It's not even your confidence, your self-assurance. You know you can do anything you put your mind to. So this video is to tell you that if you quit smoking weed because you don't want to, you're going to see exponential benefits mentally. You're going to rely on yourself to feel better instead of a plant. And most importantly, you're going to grow. You're going to grow into the person you need to be to achieve the dreams you've always had set for yourself.